Well, it's only fitting and somewhat poetic that our government-funded media, CBC, is against calling certain groups terrorists, even though they have been literally listed as terrorist organizations by the Canadian government for years. Not something new, not something that happened in the past few weeks, given the new war. Well, I mean, I know it's been an ongoing war for like a really, really long time, but given the new founded attention towards the war would be a better way of putting it. Like CBC is just so corrupt. They're so sadistic. It's so messed up. And this is why you have conservative opposition leaders like Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party saying, hey, we got to defund the CBC. Taxpayers are paying for, one, an extremely biased media organization, and two, they can't even do their job properly. Why is it so difficult to say that's a terrorist organization? We're going to call them terrorists. So welcome back to another video, everybody. This is going to be a bit of a heated one. Before we get into it, though, I want to encourage you to give a like and subscribe if you haven't yet already. Really helps grow the channel, as well as encourage you to buy a sticker, which supports I Love Oil and Gas, or I Did Not See That Coming. There are very limited left available for purchase down in the comments, or the pinned comment, or the description below. We're going to take a look at Senator Don Plett just completely obliterate the Liberal government. He's not holding anything back. He's like that pissed off grandpa or pissed off uncle that just sits quietly and waits for the right opportunity to talk, and he just doesn't waste a breath. I mean, I monitor what he says a lot of the times, and I can only hope to be half the man he is when I even say when I grow up? I'm almost 30. Sure, I'll just throw it out there. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Senator Plett.
Leader, the Director of Journalistic Standards of the Government Broadcasting Corporation, or the CBC, sent this instruction to their journalists following the terror attacks by Hamas on innocent people in Israel. Quote, do not refer to militants, soldiers, or anyone else as terrorists, even when quoting, clipping a government or source referring to fighters as terrorists. We should add context to ensure the audience understands this is opinion, not fact. That includes statements from the Canadian government and Canadian politicians. It is absolutely shameful, Leader, that the CBC refuses to call Hamas what it is, a terrorist organization, a group of terrorists. Why did the Liberal and NDP coalition of MPs vote to protect the CBC by shutting down a committee study on this, Senator Gold?
Senator Gold.
Well, thank you for your question. First and foremost, as I've said, the Government of Canada and the Prime Minister have been very clear Hamas is a terrorist group, first. Second, it is important to remember that the independence of CBC and Radio Canada's journalism from the government and from Parliament, including the Senate, is protected by law under the Broadcasting Act. I understand, colleagues, if you have read the journals today, the newspapers, the organization has provided an explanation and a rationale for its position with regard to the use of this language, and similar policy, as you may know, is implemented by the BBC and a number of other global news outlets. As parliamentarians, it is not our job to tell journalists or newsrooms what to say in the course of their work, but I would note that CBC Radio Canada has given many a platform to use the word terrorist many times in recent days.
Senator Plett.
$1.4 billion in subsidy does not make them an independent organization. Despite what the CBC says, it's a fact, Senator Gold. Hamas has been a terrorist entity under Canada's criminal code for 21 years. This is not opinion, this is fact. The fact that the CBC won't call Hamas terrorists tells Canadians all they need to know about the state broadcaster they fund through their taxes. Is there anyone in the Trudeau government who will condemn the CBC for this?
Senator Gold.
I am really going to resist answering in kind, Senator Plett. The CBC is an independent news organization. Hamas, no one has to tell me that Hamas is a terrorist organization or to remind me of how long Canada has stood solidarity. And again, if you take the time to read their explanation, you will see that your assertions are unnuanced and incomplete.
And since we're talking about government incompetence, let's take a look at Dodd Plett just obliterate the Liberals over the ArriveCan app, or also known as the ArriveCan app.
Mr. Duclos, the ArriveCan app has been a fiasco from the start, and the more we learn about it, the worse it gets. Your government used ArriveCan to divide and punish Canadians needlessly. It caused chaos at the borders. The cost to taxpayers spiraled from $80,000 to at least $54 million, Minister. The RCMP is now investigating the shady contracts behind ArriveCan. The Trudeau government hid this fact from the Auditor General and from all Canadians. The only reason we know about the police involvement is because of a whistleblower to the Globe and Mail. Why was the RCMP investigation hidden, Minister? And what is the total amount this app has cost Canadians? How much, Minister?
Monsieur le Ministre.
Merci, Madame la Sénatrice.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll begin by saying hello and congratulating you as the new Speaker here at the Senate. As a Franco-Manitoban and for all sorts of other reasons, we're proud that you are the new Speaker, and we'll always be delighted to work with you in the coming months to ensure that senators are able to work for Canadians.
Expand the scope a bit. Let us remember the importance of having fought so hard for the health and safety of Canadians in a time at which we were facing the largest public health emergency of over a century, the biggest economic crisis since the 1930s. We had to invest significant resources in order, in part, to make sure that Canadians and other people who needed to come into Canada for essential reasons, in many cases, to deliver food and medicine and the type of goods that Canadians depended on, these could travel safely and conveniently through the border. We did that mindful of the fact that tens of thousands of lives had been saved because of the efforts of the Canadian government, but more importantly, because of the efforts and the commitment of Canadians.
8 years of Justin Trudeau, not worth the cost. How much was my question, Minister? Last week, just as the Auditor General was starting her testimony before a House of Commons committee about ArriveCan, Liberal and NDP coalition MPs voted to shut it down, Minister. Minister, who gave the order to shut down the meeting? Was it you? Were you or your office involved in this direction? What is your government so desperate to hide, Minister? What are you hiding?
I appreciate and value very much the question, and I welcome some of the key words that you mentioned, which is the cost and the opportunity. The cost in lives of not having fought for Canadians would have been hundreds of thousands more people dying from the pandemic. The cost in economic benefits would have been billions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of additional jobs lost because of inaction. Now, it's true, as you are suggesting, that had we been governed at that time by the Conservative government, things would have been very, very different. Hundreds of thousands of more people would have died, as I just said, billions of economic costs, but that's not the situation. We invested in Canadians, supported them, had full confidence in their ability to be vaccinated and to follow public health advice.
Senator.
And while we're on the topic of wasting money, of course, we have to talk about the Prime Minister's home. What's the address? 24 Sussex Drive. It's not doxing, it's like a publicly known address. And how much money is being wasted.
And said it would finally bring forward its plan on the future of 24 Sussex by this fall. Today is October 18th, and we still have not seen this plan. In February, your department provided me with a written answer that shows since 2016, your government has spent over $800,000 of taxpayers' money trying to figure out what to do with 24 Sussex. 8 long years, over $800,000 spent, and there's still no plan, Minister. Are you going to bring one forward this fall as promised? And if not, are you just going to keep spending taxpayers' money without making a decision?
Monsieur le Ministre.
Thank you.
Minister.
Madam Speaker, first on the timeline, my predecessor, whom you would know, did say that we were looking for the fall to provide Canadians and the Senate indirectly with an update on what the plan is for official residences, including the official residence of the Prime Minister. Second, the 24 Sussex is currently being worked on. Asbestos is being removed. The integrity of the building is being protected. So whatever the final decision may be, the building will be there. Not in its current shape because it's not safe for the reason that I just mentioned, but it will be available for the use that Canadians will want to make of it.
Senator Platt.
Again, 8 years of Justin Trudeau, just not worth the cost. Canadians are having trouble paying their mortgages, Minister, and keeping a roof over their heads. Yet your government has taken all the time and money in the world to make a decision on 24 Sussex, and still hasn't done so. It's easy to do when you have unlimited taxpayers' dollars at your disposal, isn't it, Minister? What is the current total amount you've spent to come up with a plan? I would suspect it's more than $800,000 by now, Minister. What is it? How much?
Monsieur le Ministre.
Well, I just spoke to the
Minister.
done on 24 Sussex. I also spoke about the timeline that we have already mentioned. May I also briefly speak to the National Housing Strategy, which is perhaps more relevant to the majority of Canadians. This is a strategy that has helped over 2 million Canadians since it was put into place in 2017. It's a strategy, the first ever national strategy that Canadians had been waiting for a long time. It has built almost 120,000 new units, renovated more than that number, helped support community housing tenants of the order of tens of thousands of people who otherwise would not in 2023 be able to get support from the federal government. Had the strategy of the previous government been maintained.
Thank you.
Since there is so much attention towards this war between Israel and Palestine or Gaza or Hamas, however you want to look at it, there's been a lot more attention towards anti-Semitic comments within our government, whether it's municipal, provincial, or federal level. So this final clip, we're going to take a look at Don Platt just basically saying, hey, man, something needs to change. There's too much anti-Semitism happening.
Senator Platt.
Leader, in 2020, the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs and Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center alerted the Privy Council about vile anti-Semitic comments made online by one of their senior analysts. In response, PCO simply shuffled the staffer into another role, this time the Fisheries and Oceans Department. Last week, Senator Gold, we learned this staffer is under investigation, yet again, for anti-Semitic comments he made after the vicious Hamas terror attack on Israel. PCO is the Prime Minister's own department, Senator Gold. Why weren't these comments taken seriously 3 years ago, and why should we believe they will be taken seriously now?
Senator Gold.
Thank you for your question, Senator Platt. The expression of hatred, whether anti-Semitic or otherwise, is unacceptable. I have confidence that the PCO and other institutions, both in government and outside, take seriously the harm that these kinds of comments make. I only regret that today and during this time that it seems somehow acceptable in this chamber to use these issues, which are so painful to so many people, for partisan reasons. It's a legitimate question as to why people who express hatred are not dealt with. I have no knowledge of these particular facts. I have confidence that it's being done consistently with our rules and the values and procedures and laws that govern such matters.
Thank you, Senator Gold. Senator Platt.
Well, I take offense at that answer, Senator Gold. I stand with Israel, always have. I'm sorry that I have to ask these difficult questions. and for you to think there's anything nefarious in there is problematic. Leader, I won't repeat what this staffer said, but his hateful words can easily be found online. If any one of us could find these words, and if we can clearly see them for what they are, which is anti-Semitic, then the PCO should be able to as well. Leader, he kept his employment in the government of Canada. Why is there no one held accountable under this Trudeau government?
Senator Gold.
I acknowledge that it's legitimate to ask questions about how these matters are treated by employers, whether governmental or otherwise. My comment was simply my comment stands for itself, and I have no knowledge of this particular case and have no further comments to make in that regard.
And that's all she wrote for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about any of the videos that we took a look at today, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Don't forget to give a like and subscribe if you haven't yet already, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now. Thanks so much for making it to the end of the video. If you want to support the channel financially, you can do so by checking out the merch shop linked right up there. Or if you want to do something for free, which is also absolutely acceptable and highly encouraged, you can subscribe right there. If you want to continue watching videos like this, you can do so by clicking or tapping right there to watch the next upcoming video. And if you want to watch a little bit of different content, but also Canadian stuff, you can do so by clicking right up there. That's my second channel, House of Canada, also known as the House of Commons Highlights. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.